Okay, we're on. Okay, so look over here. So one thing, what's the point of object orientation, right? One cool thing about object orientation, there's many advantages of using object orientation. There's also disadvantages if you use it wrong. Okay, but the whole idea of objects is that you're thinking in objects. So for example, you know, it's not just a game thing. I think about actual things. For example, if there's a game where Regev punches Mendel, right? It's Regev, that object, who has an arm, and that arm swings and hits another object that's Mendel. Mendel gets hit.
And the punch is not an object?
Punch would be an object. Punch would be a method on you.
Okay.
Right? So you have to think. That's what I'm saying. The point is, think as in real life. Okay? One thing we have to get better at is we have to start making our methods, our instance variables, our local variables, all more readable as if it's English. Okay? I'll give you an example. Let's look at my one for leader game. Here's the leader game. Okay? It should be able to be read even if you don't understand what it's doing behind the scenes. For example, it's not perfect. I have to go over it for sure. Okay, so let's go through this. We have a leader game. We're going to make an array list over here to hold the leaders. We'll see what this is used for later on. This one, ignore for now. This I'm going to go through at the end of this class.
You finished the code?
No, I just started working on it. Okay, I'll actually run it for you to see what happens when I run it. When I run my game, this will come out. Okay? L1, L2. Look over here. Answer option 2, 4, 5. You see?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, this is going to be what's going to print to the user later on. 2 is a correct answer. 4 and 5 is not. 2 and 3. 1, 4, 3. 3 is the correct answer. 1 and 4 is not. D4, 4, 5, 2.
How you did that?
4 is our option. These are not. Look over here. 4, 5, 5, 3, 1. This is the right answer. 5 over here. There's no successor, and 4 and 2 are show up, and none of them are the right answer. Right? Later on, I'm going to add an option that says none of the above.
Yeah, but how do you change? Okay, we need.
Now enter your name. Let's enter your name. Put in Regev. Hey Regev, you crackerhead. Let's play hardball. Okay, and that is what I did this little last part so I can teach you how to use command line input and how to use what the user writes back. Okay, therefore you can get more into the thing. But let's run it again. If I want to show you something else, hopefully we'll get it will work this time.
No successor.
Okay, still.
You screwed that up.
I'm looking. What? No, that's fine. 5 doesn't have a successor.
Doesn't matter. So it says answer option is L3, L2, L1. So your answer option is false.
Why?
Because it's no successor.
Yeah, no. Later on, yeah, that's not correct. I mean, as in later on, we're going to add an option. We're going to actually make the game that's called none of the above, and they get to select none of the above.
Okay, how you did it? Like you change every time. It change answer in different position.
I'm gonna show you.
Okay, here's what I'm going to show you. So you see over here.
Okay.
1, 2.
Okay.
3, 4, 5. You see how none of them are the successor?
Yeah.
That's what I want. Therefore, later on, none of the above can be actually even for presidents who have a successor, but we're displaying all the wrong answers.
Okay.
Okay, I want to show you that.
And all you gotta do is do a random.
What time?
All you gotta do is a random to make sure it's not the one. Not make sure.
Well, I want it every time. It should be sometimes.
Why
You know what I mean?
sometimes you can have it all the time random.
I want it sometimes to show up that even a president who has a successor, it'll only give wrong options, and they have to select none of the above.
You can do that even if there's 20 successors.
How can
options?
Well, yeah. I mean, as of now, this is. Let's walk through it. But
But I have a question.
Yeah.
Run it again.
Okay, run again. Here we go.
Okay, the answer. This is 3 answer, whatever.
Answer options, yeah.
Answer.
There's gonna be one more that's going on the above.
Okay, how you doing that? Like every answer, all the time, the answer changed position in a different place. Not always in the first one.
Okay, so let's look at it. Ready? Let's look through my code a little bit. Now, some of these things when we walk through, we're gonna have to be something new, so we're gonna go through it.
What the book?
It's gonna be in the book. It's gonna be later on, but I'm gonna teach it to you now, just the basics, so we can be on the same page.
Because I need to finish the homework in the book.
Hey, come on, hold on.
Okay, so here's the leader game. Here's a leader list. Later on, we'll see what this is used for. Ignore this for now. This gets the command line user input, but we're gonna just ignore that for now until the end of the class. Okay, set up the data. Okay, leader 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gonna notice over here I did a little new syntax. I'll show you that soon what that means. But you can actually when you create an object, even states what some of the things should be in it. Okay, it's called the constructor. Okay. Notice I'm quoting a leader. Usually we just did leader, and then later on we add the name. Over here, I'm doing a rate in one shot.
And you know to put it in the name?
Yeah, we'll see soon how that works. Hey, I'll go over here and show you right now. You make a thing over here. Here's the leader thing. A constructor has the same exact name as the class. Okay, so I do public leader. It's like it looks like a method, exactly like a method, but it just has the same exact name. You see? We'll go into constructors in a couple chapters from now, much more in depth. But right now, the basics is that constructor runs right when you create it. So over here, leader. When I run leader, instead of just doing leader with parentheses and later on set the name, I can do leader, pass in something, and right there set the name to that. Or do everything. I can do so much stuff just right off the bat.
Okay.
Okay? But a name is an easy thing to do set off the bat. That's, a good way to set off the bat.
Okay.
Later on, we'll go into much more depth about constructors, how they work, why they work, what they're used for. But the basic gist is constructors run right when you write new. So when I say new, leader, that constructor will run.
What's the other stuff you put there?
I just these variables I created over here. I just make add one in memory that they can have a list to use. I don't know if this is even needed. Probably not. You can probably put it right there as well. But I'll just put it there. I can probably put it there as well.
Constructor.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we created the 5 leaders. We now assign their successors. So 1 has leader 2, 2 has 3, right? 5. Okay. And we add them to the leader list. So now we have a list that has 5 leaders in there. Okay? This leader list has 5 leaders. Okay? Now watch how easy this is to read. Of course, to understand behind the scenes what's happening is a different story. The point is see how easy it is to read. Loop through the list. For each leader in the list, set up their random successors. Okay? Set up this and print out the leader info. Okay, we'll see what this does. This over here will set the random successors. This over here will take. Let me open the paint for a second.
So we did something else.
It's fine. It's fine. We're there's a million ways to program, so we have to whatever works.
We actually with Mendy we decided to do it that way. It didn't work out. We were going to do it where we're going to do a method, which is what you did.
Yes.
A method for it.
So the benefit of doing it this way is that it's more readable when people are actually using the class. Let's hope this thing works.
So can I change it to your code? Oh,
Perfect. Okay, so there's random non-sectors. What this will do? We're going to pass the list into there, and it's going to take out. Let's go there. Let's go right now. So here's random non-successor.
okay.
Let's look at that. Let's look at the code for that. Set up random successors. Okay, so it goes from here to here. This is the code. Okay, so what we're passing in an array list. Okay, that's what we're passing in the leader list. Out of this list, we're making a copy of the list that only contains people who are not the leader and who are not the successor.
Oh, you did it in. Oh, that's it.
Okay, now watch this. I want you to do something interesting. Okay, so we're passing this list, right, which has all 5 leaders in there. Over here, it's going to take it and make a copy of the list by removing the ones that are himself and the ones that are his successor already. How does it do that? Let's look over here. It makes a new array list inside here called leaders to copy. It loops through this list, and look at this word over here. She says this, that is whichever leader this is. This is a keyword from Java that means who am I, right? So if this leader to copy is myself,
Okay.
then, or myself, and it's not my successor, then boom, add it to this list.
No, wait. You can't do that because the end says it's not this, you can't even do the method, and then it doesn't let you do the next thing.
I don't want to. That's good. That's exactly what I want. If it's not me, and it's not my successor, boom, add it to this list.
So basically, you wrote this method that we did instead of in a leader game, you did it on your leader job.
Right. I made one that's called non-randomized successors. So it's on himself because it really belongs there. It's part of the leader himself. Okay. Then here's a cool thing. This one I didn't teach you guys yet. It's called shuffle. Shuffle just takes an array list and shuffles it in different order, in a random order. Okay. So there's this leader's to copy, which now contains everybody but this person himself and his successor. Will shuffle the list. So it's by definition not in order. It then loops to that list and assigns 3 to his.
And how are that's going to come after that?
One more time?
How are the collections? Is collections still in the for loop?
No, this loop is done. Now make it.
Right. So you said that these things don't go in order necessarily.
What does this does go in order? This is all in one method. This method goes from here to here.
That's the best way to set up any Okay.
Okay.
So basically,
Okay. So let's this over here, in short, creates a new list that has everybody but himself and his successor. We then shuffle the list, and then we just go through and assign the first 3.
And you think this is easier than we did?
No, I don't necessarily it's easier. I think
Is it less object oriented?
this is more object because this is actually applied to him himself. So we're running it on he himself. He himself, this president says, okay, I'll assign my own successor, my own man successor, my non successor. That's exactly how it's more object oriented.
so
In other words, over here, the only code like this from the bottom is just stuff I added for the input. This in your file is like 50 lines of code. But over here, it's just 3 lines of code.
So next time you roll the code and you let us to do like you doing because you're doing more object oriented.
Okay, but
Because
the
when
point
we're
is
doing that, we're doing it the way that we think, and it's not good.
it's fine because you
I want to
learn.
walk in the right way,
Okay,
not
so
like a messed
you-
up way.
Listen, they're all you move. You have. I still can't give you off the bat.
way that you do.
Fine, but you have to off the bat. You still have to try.
Yes, but I want to go approach in your way, in more object oriented.
We'll continue off of this one.
20 line that it's like
It's basically a copy and paste into here with some minor modifications, for the most part. Okay, so we pass in the list. We copy everybody in the list except for himself. Remember, this means himself, right? So we make an object. This is that object himself. Okay.
Okay.
So we make a new list, we shuffle it, and then we take out the first 3 and add it to my successors. Okay, we loop through this list, add the first 3, and get out of it.
What is the shuffle doing?
It makes it in a random order.
Okay.
And therefore, we can now loop through and take the first 3 out.
Okay.
I can even take this out and just do 1, 2, 3. I mean, I don't even have to.
So basically, pass the leader list. Okay. And
Make a copy of it.
Okay, let me read it. Okay, once.
Go ahead, take your time. Take your time, Dave. Any questions, let me know.
You're reading the video after, right?
Go ahead.
Paste the leader list. Okay. And you create an array. Leader list. Copy. Okay. And then you create an array for leader list. We're going to each president space. You need to So when you pass the president list is present, you pass all the objects.
It's an array list. It's one object.
Yeah, you pass all the array list to
Actually, one object.
all the presidents, all the president lists.
Right.
So
it's one object array that has all the lists in it. We're making a copy that only has 3 of them. It's going to take away himself and the successor.
So yeah, in every object there is successor, non-successor, and the name. Yeah, name, successor, and non-successor.
Name, successor, random, non-successor.
Yes.
Okay.
So and then everything is now it's checking on that method. So leadership copy that add the copy that is the non-successor. Yeah. The V leader to copy is the non-successor.
That's from the list. Look.
yeah, but it's non-successor.
Well, we're going to compare.
Yeah.
If it isn't, add it to this new list, and then we're going to take out the first 3 and add to non-successor.
Okay. So now collection shuffle. Here, leader list copy. Okay. You put in. How are you doing that 3 times?
Okay. If count equals 3, I break out of it. So it goes 0, 1, 2, and then breaks out.
So, but you shuffled before.
Shuffle it before. So it's in random order, and then we just take out the first 3.
Oh, so later. Copy. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So. Okay.
Any questions on this part?
Okay. 1. Okay. 1. 4. Okay. How many times in here? Up here is doing that. How many times is going all the way to here? How many times is doing that?
How much is in there?
Yeah. How do you know how many? You know when it's going all the way here, it's already there. How many lists?
Okay, so how much is in the leader's list before we pass it in?
10.
No,
Like,
I had 5.
5. Say 5.
Okay, so 5. We're going to take out at least 1, because 1's for sure himself.
Okay.
So we're down to 4.
Okay.
And then most of them have a successor, so usually it's going to be 3.
Okay, so you put in a new array to the
Right.
new array.
There's
So
gonna be
here
3
there's
or 4.
nothing. First of all,
Right, nothing. Then we're going to add at least 3 or 4 of them.
how did leader be leader?
Here's add, see?
Okay, add 1. We finished to add 1.
Not one. All of them.
But we're looping, so we're adding 1 at a time. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is.
5. So when it's all finished, it's 5.
No, not 5. It's going to be these,
3.
only the ones that pass this if.
Oh, this is make sure that it's only 3. Oh, so after that is on those 3
We're going to shuffle.
to each.
Now, it's not necessarily 3. It could be 3 or 4. Because remember, the last present doesn't have a successor. So there's going to be 4 matches. It's 3 or 4. Which is why we're taking out the first 3, just to make sure all of them only have 3.
So here is add the array. Oh, it's array. But it's not add on one element. Oh, it's on. And then you're doing shuffle in top for leader list copy.
Okay, we're basically taking out.
Random non-successor dot add the leader. So that random non-successor is the other array.
Yeah, that's the instance
That's telling
variable.
you to add whatever, to add the lead leader each time you go through one lead leader, and it goes around 3 times.
So adding the first 3.
So this is the first 3 that the non-successor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now I made another instance variable in here called another array list called successor and non-successor shuffle. Okay, this will contain a list of successors and non-successors randomly. And this will be the final options for the user to guess. And this list can have it's a list of successor, non-successors, and only it's contained 3 of them. Sometimes it'll have successors, sometimes not. Sometimes it'll have 1 successor and 2 non-successors, sometimes it'll have 3 non-successors. Because remember, by the user, we want to show them 3 options to choose from. Sometimes we want it to be random, that there actually is no successor in the list and have to get none of the above.
So it's not gonna take the random non-successor there all the time. Just gonna pick between those 2.
Let's walk through this code. Okay, here is the random shuffle. Okay, so what we're doing is we're first adding into this thing, which is an array list. We're adding all the non-successors. Okay. Okay. Then we're gonna add the successor.
Wait a second. Thank you. Add all as a new signature.
Okay, add all adds
Everything in that.
everything puts in the other one.
Was there another word for that? Or add all? I guess it's another keyword.
So add adds one at a time. Add all. You can add an entire other array to this array.
Perfect. Okay. So add what's in random successor, non-successors right now.
Right, so now it's like a copy.
And this is all of them. This has nothing to do with -1 and -2. It's all of them.
It's all right. So as of now, all random successors will be in this list.
Gotcha.
Then we're going to add the successor if there's a successor. Remember, not all of them have a successor. Not all leaders have a
If
successor.
successor is equal to null.
Not
Not equal to
null.
null, sorry.
Then add this one as well. Okay.
So add the successor.
But then how are you going to do the...
Then we're going to shuffle it and remove the last one
Why remove 3?
because It's 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 is always the last position.
So you only need 3 of them. And you know it's always going to equal. Why do you have to? Why are you writing equals 4? Why do you just write equals 2? Equals 3?
Because remember, there's one. There is the
one that's null. One that's not null successor.
right.
So why can't we do something instead of that? Why can't we put it like when you're putting in random non-successors, we can put the answer.
So all of them have 3 non-successors.
Fair enough. You say for the answer we can just put null. And we're coming to actual answers when the user input answers.
Right. When add another one called another
Then we
one.
can do the whole.
That's
we'll
what
do
the
the same
user.
system. We just add.
Yeah. So this makes that list. Now we're gonna look at this thing also as well. I made a printout thing that prints out the user info. Okay, so it prints out his name, his successor, and the answer options. Therefore, I can just go over here and say print out that info.
So basically from your leader, this is the leader game, it's not the leader object.
I'm printing out this over here as a method over here called print leader info.
So now,
So
how
prints
did
out his
you
own
do
info.
this, right? According to the way the book said, which is according to what you said, is you have to do testing first.
To test it?
You have to write the testing code first. Being that you did it this way means you didn't write the testing code first.
You have a good point. I did not do a full test, that's for sure. What I did do is a lot of pseudocode.
That's my question. So, is the way you did it correct this way, or?
No, it's definitely better to use.
But how would we do it using this method of doing things? Not actual method, but method of doing things. If I were to write this game from scratch,
Right.
the first thing I would start with would be reader game.
Well, I mean, I
Or
don't.
reader game tester.
You want all the first the flowchart.
Flowchart, pseudocode, blah blah blah.
Okay,
Then you
pseudocode is by far the most important. By
do,
far.
right. So pseudocode, and then you say tester first. Do the testing code first.
Yeah.
Does that mean I write this first, or I write this after?
The testing code will be first. We'll have to spend a couple classes on
Because
testing.
otherwise, I'd just be so confused because I could assume where it's here, but I mean, and then I write.
Yeah. So
I would
no.
have to write
Yeah.
unit
We'll
testing
have to get. We're gonna have to spend some classes on unit testing. But really, the reason why unit testing doesn't make sense to us now is because our games are not complex enough. This game, once we're finished with it, will be complex enough that then we can start and show you how we would write it initially. Therefore, the testing will make sense. But you're right. We haven't done the right practice yet of doing testing code. But pseudocode is the most important part. Pseudocode means you have a piece of paper or anything you want that has exactly how the game is going to work in your head, but real details.
But you need to make pseudocode for the object, pseudocode for the game.
It should be for everything. You should have a piece of
Every
paper.
method should have one.
Everything. Your whole game should be detailed that you can now take the pseudocode, give it to a C++ programmer, a C# programmer, a Java, Python, and you can all build a game because it's clear, crystal clear logic.
Yeah, I wish. I mean,
That's the most important piece of anything is a pseudocode. Okay, so
go up once again. Movement. Go up movement.
okay, so look through this code today. Well, tomorrow we'll have hopefully you guys will reviewed it already. We can go more in depth. But add all just adds an entire array list to a new array list.
So you're going to talk about the last thing.
And then this one is very important. Is this? This just means this object, right?
Yeah, you still list.
Okay. So last things I want to talk about this thing, right? The user input helper. Okay. So there's another class called user input helper over here. What this one does is let's look at what it does first before we go look at the code. When I press start playing, it prints out blank, and then over here, look what it does. It gets user input. User input displays this, and when we ever enter back, pops into this string.
Yeah.
Okay? We'll see why it does that. But look, user helper, this method in this class, after it prints out this, look, I'll run the game again. See where the end says enter your name? That's over here, enter your name.
So we could.
Whatever, and now enter now, if I enter Izzy, and press enter, boom. See, you got Izzy here, and then I use this variable over here to say, hey, Izzy, you're a cracker, let's play hardball.
Right. So why can't I think eventually I can just take that same situation and write, equals, plus dot successor, random non-successor.
This is, yeah, I'm teaching this for the exact reason that now you can actually make the real game.
Right.
of a person entering their answers and you checking answers whether it's wrong or not.
And user input helper is something you should call live.
So here, I created it over here. Don't worry about how it works right now. Just I'll later on we will discuss
It's
it.
not something we just get, it's something that you have to write.
Well, the reason why I don't want to go in depth in this is because we're only going to need it for the next few chapters. After that, we're never ever going to use it again, because you're making real games. You're going to have a nice image. You're going to have a GUI. You're going to have a real visual experience, a command line. You know what I mean? So, but if you want, maybe one class will dedicate to explaining how user input works. There's basically a buffer, a stream, and the system sends you what's on the command line. But don't worry about this. Just copy and paste this. All you have to know is that this is how you get. You just pass into a string. So over here, whatever I enter now gets put into this, which is a string, and I can use whatever I want. So if I enter the guess, say I displayed here's your answers, and I enter 3, you can now have it in here, and you can check whether that 3 is the right answer.
Then you send the username.
Okay.
Yeah, username to up there.
So the point is, all you know is that when you run this, whatever he enters lands in here, and then you can use it however you want. So you get interacting with the user. So then you can actually make some real games.
It was so short.
Well, it's the same or longer. It's just
Right, just in a different place. But I put it under the leader.
Oh, it's better there.
In short, you want anything that applies to a single leader on himself, because that's applies to
so
him.
every leader, every object needs to make his own
Data. He
his
works on his
own
own data.
data. His own
If it works,
not
on his
like
own. Right.
So it's better to do it like that.
Okay, so I'm going to send you these 3 files, guys. You can now review these files. Any questions, prepare for tomorrow, and then hopefully by tomorrow you guys can actually walk through this line by line and explain to you what it's doing. Okay? But don't look at this one. Just ignore it. Just use it and compile it so you can actually start using these.
Done?
You have more time? Let's go more time.
I don't know.
What time do you have till?
But you're rushing.
Until 16.
Okay, so another 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Okay, so let's look at more some of the details. Okay, so let's look over here.
Okay. Go to the president, please.
Okay, so first let's walk through this game again. Okay, so if you notice over here, we're making a thing called setup data. Right? We assign the leaders. Let's remember now this over here, instead of just using leader, we actually put it in there itself. This is called a constructor. That's over here in the top, I wrote constructor, and it's the same exact name as the class, you see?
Yes.
Okay? That's how you make a constructor. You just do that, and then you can pass in whatever you want to pass in and do it.
Name is equal to name.
Okay? And
Name is
don't worry, in a couple chapters now, we're going to go to constructors in depth, how they work and why they work.
okay.
But this is the basic gist, is that you can actually, when you press new, right, new leader, I can pass in their info that I can use right off the bat.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So we create a leader. His name is L1. We assign the successor.
You did it also in constructor?
What?
Just successor.
I didn't, but I could if I want.
What is object? Go to leader Java?
Successor is a method.
Okay.
Remember, if it was in the constructor, it would be in here itself.
Oh, okay.
Constructor is the same exact name as the class.
You put it in there.
You put something there.
What? In here? No, this is just.
What is those second line? Under the
You know, right
successor.
under random non-successor equals new array leader. So
That's just making it.
No.
It's not doing anything with it yet.
Hello?
Right, I'm doing other stuff, but I'm not. This thing over
you just
here.
add it there. You can do the same thing.
Yeah,
Add it
100%.
there. Just do set successor right there.
You're 100% right.
What would you write if you did that? How would you
I
write it?
I would have to pass another parameter over here that the person passed the successor, and then I would assign the successor to that successor. But the reason why I didn't do it off the bat is because some of them don't have a successor off the bat. So it's gonna get a little complicated. I'll leave it.
Right, no.
Okay.
You could, but I want to leave it. When we get to constructors more in depth, I'll go into that. I don't want to jump the gun because that's a different chapter, and I really want to work with the book at the same pace of the book.
Okay, I need to put that.
Okay, so leaders list, we did that part, and then over here, the basic part of the game is just this. That's setting up the game. It just these parts. For each leader, get their random successors, make their shuffle where you have the list, and print out their info.
Say successor and non-successor shuffle. Okay, send me to home. I'm gonna go over it again. And any question I'm gonna ask you. if I'm not gonna understand that. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds good. Okay, so I'm this now.
Complaint scheme?